Yi Chang'an traveled through the chaotic world of demonic martial arts. As a small hunter, he originally only wanted to live an ordinary life until he awakened the Mountain God panel. Mountain Spirit, Mountain God, 5 mountains, Mountain Lord, 4 great emperors. Dominating thousands of beasts, traveling thousands of miles a day, waving to attract a peak of 10,000 meters. As long as I step on the earth, the world is invincible. Keywords of the novel. People in demon martial arts, starting from the Mountain God panel without pop-ups. People in demon martial arts, starting from the Mountain God panel, download the complete set of TXT. People in demon martial arts, starting from the Mountain God panel, read the latest chapters. Chapter 1. Crossing. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Crossing. In the 18th year of the reign of Emperor Chang'an, a great demon and drought came from the sky in the northern region. The barren land was thousands of miles away, and there was no harvest of grain. As refugees moved south, a great chaos was about to arise. Jiannan Road, Chang'an town. Just as autumn entered, a sudden heavy snowfall enveloped the small town, and the village houses were covered in silver. All the pine trees in the city turned white overnight. Oh, it hurt so much. Yi Chang'an sat up with his swollen and painful head in his hand, stunned when he opened his eyes to see the scene before him. He found himself in a strange room, with antique furniture and a room made of pine wood. Who am I, where am I? He couldn't help but utter a philosophical double. Yi Chang'an tightly closed his eyes and waited for 10 minutes before opening them again. The scene remained the same, and he stared blankly at the deep blue bedding beneath him. In my memory, he was playing a game called Chopstick Little Monster in Chaos, and I don't know when he fell asleep. Why does it appear in this place as soon as you open your eyes? Yi Chang'an took a deep breath. If he guessed correctly, he should have traveled through time. Just as he got out of bed to investigate the situation, the door was pushed open with a creaking sound. A young girl, about 13 or 14 years old, walked in with a wooden basin in her hand. She had bright eyes and white teeth, gentle eyebrows and eyes, and even a coarse cloth jacket couldn't conceal her beautiful and mature beauty. The girl saw the awakened Yi Chang'an and quickly put aside the wooden basin filled with warm water, running to the bedside. Chang'an brother, you finally woke up. Both parents have left, and I really only have you left. Woo, woo, the girl threw herself into Yi Chang'an's arms and kept sobbing. A strange memory appeared in Yi Chang'an's mind. Not bad, he did travel. The girl in front of me is named Yi Roer, an orphan taken in by his parents. My original father went hunting in the mountains 2 years ago and disappeared for several days. When he was discovered, he was already out of breath. My mother passed away 2 months ago due to overwork while taking care of household chores. The life of the Yi family used to be relatively prosperous in the small town, but now it has plummeted. Having no choice but to shoulder the heavy responsibility of supporting the family, Yi Chang'an inherited his father's business and became a hunter, but unfortunately stumbled and fell to the bottom of the valley. He was rescued and died shortly after, and only then did he occupy the magpie's nest. This opening is really hard to say. With a long sigh, how can a modern person who is not diligent survive in this chaotic world? At this moment, bang, bang, bang. The door was rudely knocked on by someone, as if the visitor was not kind. Roer, let's visit Chang'an. Open the door quickly. A burly man's voice came from outside the door. Yi Chang'an frowned and recognized that the person outside was the famous bully in the town, Zhang Long. A bully is not scary, but he also has another identity, which is a servant of the Su family, one of the 4 major families in the county. The families in this world are not just about wealth, they rely on martial arts experts as their foundation. Legend has it that martial arts masters on the mountaintop can flip the river and the sea with one hand, even shattering the void, like immortals. Roer, help me up, Yi Chang'an said calmly, feeling a bit weak. Yi Roer's small face was filled with worries, but she still followed Yi Chang'an's orders. She always felt that after waking up, Chang'an had changed a lot, which was reassuring. With a creak, the door was opened. Zhang Long, with 3 attendants, was about to open his mouth when he saw that the person pushing the door was Chang'an, and his smile disappeared instantly. "Oh, Chang'an, you haven't died yet." Chang'an coughed and said, "It turned out to be Brother Long. I have nothing to do. Uncle Li will also come to see me in a while." Upon hearing the words Uncle Li, Zhang Long's arrogant attitude softened significantly. The Li Shu in Chang'an's mouth is his father's friend Li Dashan, who is a constable in the county government. Although Ye's father passed away for many years, Li Dashan often took care of the Yi family, but since his mother passed away, there has been much less communication. Zhang Long suddenly thought of his other identity and spoke more forcefully, "Should I pay the rent for your house?" Chang'an showed a perfectly flattering expression on his face and took out a bulging purse from his pocket. "Brother Long, this money is a tribute to you. If you don't show respect, I will definitely offer you the rent in a while." Zhang Long gave Chang'an a meaningful glance and calmly accepted his money bag, saying, "You still have a sense of propriety in Chang'an. It's okay to pay the rent for a while." The two of them were being hypocritical again, and Zhang Long had enough flattery before leaving with his younger brother satisfied. As Chang'an watched Zhang Long leave, a cold light flashed in his eyes. Eating out of households. He naturally understood the true purpose of Zhang Long's knocking on the door, as these 3 words represent the blood and tears of countless families. These people clearly see that the Yi family has no male offspring and plan to bully Yi Roer and seize the family property. So Zhang Long was so unhappy when he saw that Chang'an was safe and sound. If Zhang Long is not sent away with some blood today, these thugs who have been bullying men and women for years will never give up easily. As for Uncle Li in Chang'an's mouth, he is just pulling tiger skin to intimidate Xiao Xiao. Although the current crisis has been resolved, the rent has not yet settled. The entire fields and houses in Chang'an town have been purchased by the Su family, so residents in the town need to pay rent on time, otherwise the houses will be taken back and driven out of the town. How can ordinary farmers survive without fields and housing? In fact, this situation occurs in every corner of the great Xian kingdom. Chang'an has read history books, and this human tragedy caused by land consolidation has been running through the rise and fall of all dynasties. In the past, Ye's father could still make a living by hunting, but Chang'an wouldn't. The remaining money at home is also about to bottom out. Difficult, difficult, difficult. Yi Roer's eyes drooped as she whispered, "Brother Chang'an, it's really not possible to sell me to the city as a maid. I heard you can exchange it for some silver." Chang'an glared at his younger sister and said, "Don't say that again in the future." He picked up the steel fork and hard bow left by Ye's father. "It's so heavy." Chang'an smiled bitterly and put the hunting objects back in their original positions. With his thin and weak body, no wonder he could only hunt 3 or 2 wild chickens in a month. In his spare time, he suddenly caught a glimpse of the New Year painting pasted on the door. It's not the 2 great generals Qin Xiong and Wei Qigong from their past lives, but the 2 seemingly ferocious mountain spirits. Suddenly, he felt as if the portrait on the door had come to life, and Shan Jing's eyelids began to blink. What is the situation? Before he could make any movement, a green rainbow that only he could see shot into his eyebrows from the self-portrait's eyes. In my ears came the playfulness of countless beasts, high mountains, and flowing water. It was like being in a forest. Congratulations on opening the Mountain God panel, host. Chang'an, Realm. None, Sending Spirit. Mountain Spirit, Magic. Level 1 Beast Control Plus, Level 1 Perception Plus, Fit. 0 out of 100 Plus, Spirit of Thick Soil. 0, Note. The spirit of the mountains and fields, although a low-level deity, originates from the bloodline of the 4 great emperors. Golden Finger. Chang'an looked in amazement at the floating panel in front of him. Newcomer's new book. This book has been approved for internal submission. Please rest assured to consume it, and there will be no eunuchs. We hope readers can greatly support it. Reading is really important for books. Please move your fingers and click until the end every day. Kneel down and thank you. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Mountain God. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2 Mountain God panel. Yi Chang'an's face gradually became strange, and he never expected the game panel to travel with him. This panel is too familiar, because he was killed by it. The opening character of the game, Chaotic World Chopstick Little Monster, is a naturally raised mountain spirit. In the early stages, players can accumulate the spirit of thick soil by picking mushrooms in the mountains and forests. But why is it a mountain god? In ancient folklore, mountain gods were considered proper ghost immortals and only qualified to serve after a person's death. Yi Chang'an immediately fell silent, and since his predecessor had already died twice, he was not just a ghost. His predecessor had died in the mountains and forests, making his profession quite relevant. The spirit of thick soil can be used to increase compatibility and upgrade divine powers. When the fit point is full, you can upgrade the spirit sending. He has seen the player's guide, and the next level of spirit sending is the mountain god. The game has been running for less than a week, and players have not yet discovered the more advanced Pokémon. Yi Chang'an's gaze turned to the two divine powers originally possessed by Shan Jing, attempting to verify his conjecture. Perception. You will be able to see all the details within a range of 50 meters around your body, ignoring obstacles and doubling the perception distance of mountain and forest artifacts. Beast control. Use the spirit of mountain spirits to drive wild beasts for your own use, greatly enhancing their intelligence and abilities. Current maximum limit of the animal enclosure. 1. Sure enough. He was overjoyed. At the beginning of the game, he could choose many little monsters, but after a series of strategies, he decisively chose the mountain spirit because of these two supernatural powers. The initial attributes of the mountain spirit are average, but the ability to search for treasures is truly unlocked. The Kyushu Mountains encompass all directions and stretch for thousands of miles, among which there are countless immortal legends. There are countless natural resources and treasures, making it an unparalleled treasure trove that is difficult for ordinary people to find. Those who are unlucky may accidentally pick up spiritual treasures in the mountains, which can soar in the daytime. With the help of these two divine powers, those exotic treasures are simply treasures in one's bag. Activate the power of perception. Yi Chang'an felt as if he had opened a divine perspective, and all the plants and trees around the house were clearly visible. Moreover, he could even pass through the walls and see the scenery inside the house. Uncle Gotzi's family actually hides so much food. TSK. Aunt Xianfu hid 50 large coins on the stove and even cried poverty on weekdays. Dan's newly married wife is really white. As described in the skill description, the scenery within a radius of 50 meters is clearly visible, even things 50 meters underground can be seen clearly. Moreover, if the presence of Shanbao is detected, the perceptual distance can be doubled. With this skill, the mountains and forests are like his backyard. Even if you encounter wild beasts, you can sense them in advance and avoid them. Even the most dangerous terrain is like walking on a flat ground for him. In addition, this is a divine skill that countless Go Xingmeng have long dreamed of, and from then on, no one can ambush him in secret. There is currently no chance to try the divine power of controlling beasts, but based on previous game experience, only the subdued beasts can be controlled. So tigers, black bears, and other ferocious beasts are not on the verge of turning into real mountain ghosts on the spot if they really encounter a shovel. Yi Ruer looked at her own brother with a silly smile and worried, "Brother Chang'an, why don't you lie down? You're laughing so scary." Yi Chang'an only then realized that saliva had already flowed to the corner of his mouth. Cough and cough, the night is deep, the wind and snow are getting stronger, and the candles in the cabin are swaying uncontrollably. Although Yi Chang'an possesses two great powers, he dare not entrust that to enter the mountains in snowy weather. Even experienced hunters can only stay at home honestly. Chang'an brother, it's time for dinner. Yi Ru'er lifted the curtain of the back room with 2 bowls of stick noodles congee with green flowers floating in it, and extravagantly placed 2 pieces of thick cut meat. Yi Chang'an, who was already starving, picked up his chopsticks and was about to feast on them when he caught a glimpse of his sister's empty bowl and was immediately stunned. He let out a sigh, born in a chaotic world, and I don't know how many people in the small town are starving. Relying on the meager family wealth left by their parents, the siblings barely managed to make a living, but they were also approaching the point of being left with nothing to eat. Yi Chang'an picked up a piece of meat and pretended to put it into his sister's bowl. Upon seeing this, Yi Ru'er quickly covered the bowl with her small hand and shook her head vigorously, saying, "Brother Chang'an, my body is small and I can't eat so much." I only heard Yi Chang'an's unusually stern reprimand, "If you want to eat, then eat. What should you do if you're hungry?" Then he stuffed the meat slices into Yi Ru'er's congee. The timid and gentle older brother suddenly became majestic, and Yi Ru'er was momentarily mesmerized. "It feels great to have pillars at home." She cleverly picked up the stick noodles congee and drank it. She only thought that today's congee was particularly sweet. After a bowl of congee, Yi Chang'an burps comfortably. He was surprised to find that the panel had changed. Host: Yi Chang'an, Realm. Nun, Sending Spirit. Mountain Spirit, Magic. Level 1 Beast Control Plus, Level 1 Perception Plus, Fit. 0 out of 100 Plus, Spirit of Thick Soil. 0.001 Watching the sudden arrival of the Spirit of Thick Soil, Yi Chang'an fell into contemplation. Quickly, he figured out the key to it. The Spirit of Thick Soil is actually the spiritual energy contained in the earth, which ordinary people cannot directly obtain, but can be indirectly absorbed through the plants and trees rooted in the soil. Just like precious medicinal herbs such as Ganoderma lucidum, ginseng, and Cordyceps sinensis. The game is presented in the form of picking mushrooms, but in reality, any plant contains more or less the spirit of thick soil. Congee with stick noodles is made by grinding corn grains, and naturally contains a small amount of aura. It is impractical to think that the liver can become a mountain god only by relying on the spirit of the thin and thick soil in the congee. It seems that we still need to go into the mountains. Yi Chang'an made up his mind and tried several more divine senses before falling asleep. The next morning, Yi Chang'an got up early in the morning, while Yi Ru'er was still sleeping like a kitten, occasionally making pleasant snoring sounds. He didn't wake up his own sister, tiptoed into a cotton jacket, picked up the steel fork and hard bow left by his father Yi, and walked out of the cabin. The goose feather-like snow drifted all night, and by now it had stopped. The snow-white town looked peaceful, but was soon broken by a burst of noise. Yi Chang'an followed the sound and came to a small house, where he recognized it as his neighbor Uncle Wang's house. Looking through the bustling crowd, I saw Aunt Wang holding onto the thigh of an official-looking person, constantly crying and shouting. Uncle Wang's 2 children at the entrance had dirty little faces and were also crying incessantly, with a pitiful appearance that was touching. Yi Chang'an walked into the crowd and heard several familiar uncles expressing unbearable emotions. The Wang family is afraid to disperse. This world doesn't want people to live. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Hunting. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3 Hunting. Don't be unkind, you wicked woman. The supervisor of the county is merciful and has sent me a reward. If you pester me again, don't blame me for being ruthless. The leading official looked impatiently at the woman under his feet. Aunt Wang burst into tears and choked up, saying, "You give back my husband. Without him, how can the 3 of us live?" Yi Chang'an only remembers that half a year ago, Uncle Wang was arrested and sent to the north for Corvée labor. It was said that he was transporting grain, but he did not expect to end up in a foreign land now. There are no male servants in the family, and Aunt Wang alone is unable to support her. He understood this experience very well, because the Yi family was also like this, and Ye's mother was so tired that she died in bed. Only by being strong enough can one survive in this chaotic world. Yi Chang'an knows the ending without looking at it. In today's world, human life is only worth 10 taels of silver. As he was about to turn around and leave, a middle-aged man dressed as a hunter stopped him and asked with concern, "It's Chang'an. Have you recovered from your illness?" Yi Chang'an remembered that this person was a skilled hunter in the town, known as the Zheng hunter. He used to go hunting with his father, and after his father left, he often came to visit the Yi family. "Uncle Zheng, I'm almost fine now." Hunter Zheng looked at Yi Chang'an kindly and sighed, "I didn't expect to grow so big in the blink of an eye. I'll be 16 this year." You have to plan ahead in Chang'an. At the age of 16, you will be arrested by the government as a strong soldier. Thank you very much for Uncle Zheng's reminder. Yi Chang'an's heart sank as he knew the terrifying nature of corvée labor. Every year, more than 1,000 people die at the foot of the city walls. De Xian imposed heavy taxes and levies, coupled with cruel corvée, making it difficult for the lower-class people to survive. It is said that there has already been a rebellion in the north under the pretext of, the heavens are dead, and the yellow sky is in power, with the leader still being a strong master of martial arts. These were all learned from the refugees themselves. 10 miles to the east of Chang'an town is Erdeogo, with deep forests and dense grass, which most hunters like to come here. The mountains are covered in white snow, and stepping on the snow makes a creaking sound. Although Yi Chang'an has memories of his predecessor, he only felt the power of nature when he walked deep into the mountains. With his terrifying perception ability, he easily avoided the deep pits covered in snow, which was something even old hunters feared. Perhaps due to the snowy weather, I searched in the mountains for half a day and didn't even see a wild rabbit. However, it was not without gains. Yi Chang'an was surprised to discover his divine ability, perception, which not only allowed him to explore the environment, but also showed the numerical value of the spirit of thick soil contained in plants. I saw a string of numbers floating above the pine cones of the pine tree, 0.001. This is the spirit of thick soil contained in this pine nut. Yi Chang'an skillfully climbed up the pine tree and took down the pine cones. In fact, neither his predecessor nor he knew how to climb trees. Since becoming a mountain spirit, this skill has existed in his muscle memory as if it were innate. A bowl of congee with stick noodles is also the spirit of thick soil. It can be seen that this pine nut has high nutritional value. In addition, Yi Chang'an's backpack was also filled with various unknown mushrooms. With his divine ability of perception, he can easily distinguish whether mushrooms are non-toxic. Just like this bright red mushroom with snow covering its feet, its value is 0.1. He gradually grasped the law, and if the value is negative, it proves that this thing is toxic. Unconsciously, he had already entered the depths of the second ditch. Here, there are numerous thorns and ferocious beasts, even experienced and skilled old hunters are reluctant to venture in. Yi Chang'an doesn't plan to go deep either, he just wants to try his luck in the surrounding area. At that moment, he suddenly saw a string of numbers, 5, floating behind a big tree where 2 people were hugging each other. He walked all the way and didn't even see anything with a value exceeding 1, but now there is a treasure with a value of 5. Getting rich, is it Ganoderma lucidum or ginseng? Yi Chang'an approached cautiously to a position of 50 meters, and then through God's perspective, he saw a gray-haired crippled old wolf lying on the ground, unaware of its life or death. He walked around the big tree and came to the old wolf, looking surprised. Due to heavy snow, Erdeogo is truly a place where birds fly away from thousands of mountains and people disappear from thousands of paths. It was not until now that he realized that animals could also see numerical values. Yi Chang'an's eyes gradually showed an excited expression, as he was worried about not being able to find the experimental subject of the beast control ability. I didn't expect to encounter an excellent goal here. Control the beast. With a low shout, his palm immediately emitted a faint green light. Yi Chang'an crouched down, trying to touch the center of the wolf's eyebrows. At this moment, the already unconscious old wolf suddenly opened his eyes, but due to the severe injury, he was unable to move, and his eyes showed a humanized expression of sadness. Surprisingly, he is still a wolf who understands human nature, which is a bit interesting. The light in Yi Chang'an's hand shot straight into the body of the old wolf when it touched the fur. The old wolf's body began to twitch uncontrollably, and a painful expression appeared on his face. After a cup of tea, the light completely merged into the blood of the old wolf. To Yi Chang'an's surprise, the old wolf, who had been severely injured, actually recovered as before, emitting a ferocious aura all over his body, with an imposing aura. The memories that originally belonged to the old wolf also appeared in his mind. Surprisingly, the Wolf King. Yi Chang'an did not expect that the old wolf he accidentally encountered was actually the Wolf King of the Erdaegu wolf pack, or more accurately, the former Wolf King. Due to aging, his claws were no longer as sharp as before, and he was later defeated and expelled from the wolf pack by the Rising Stars. Don't worry, follow me, you will definitely return to glory. Yi Chang'an looked at the old wolf seriously, and now he had a common understanding with him, so he was confident that the old wolf could understand. Woo! Oh, humans! The old wolf glanced at Yi Chang'an with disdain on his face. Cough, I'm at least your master, show some respect. Due to being infused with spiritual energy by Yi Chang'an, the old wolf's intelligence far exceeds that of ordinary beasts. It also understands that without Yi Chang'an's help today, it would definitely be frozen to death by this cold wind and snow. Owl, master. Seeing the old wolf so preaching, Yi Chang'an nodded in satisfaction. He touched his chin, and at this moment, the old wolf not only recovered from his injury, but also surpassed his former peak. An idea was brewing in his mind. Old wolf, I will give you the first task, which is to become the Wolf King again. Owl, necessary. Although there was only one position in his animal pen, if the old wolf became the Wolf King, he would be equivalent to owning hundreds of wild wolves. What kind of prestige would it be at that time? Yi Chang'an played with the old wolf for a while again, although most of the time it was him who was unilaterally masturbating the wolf. As dusk approached, Yi Chang'an reluctantly walked towards the foot of the mountain. Just as he was about to reach the mountainside, a man as strong as an iron tower appeared in the forest. His thick voice shook the snowflakes on the tree, causing them to fall, and he opened his pale teeth. So it's Chang'an. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Adding points. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4 Adding points. Hu Gu, are you still hunting so late? Yi Chang'an waved warmly, but in his heart he sneered. This sturdy hunter is named Zhao Eru, also from Chang'an town. His hunting skills are quite exquisite, but his mind is not right. The mountainside was originally an open pine forest, and the perception range of 50 meters had not yet covered the line of sight, so Yi Chang'an did not perceive it in advance. Chang'an, what's your harvest today? How's your burden bulging? Zhao Eru walked forward and generously patted Yi Chang'an's shoulder. Then, his palm slid onto the bundle behind him, and his movements were extremely smooth. Obviously, this was not the first time he had done such a thing. Yi Chang'an didn't stop either. Clack. Bright mushrooms fell one after another on the snow, appearing even more eerie against the backdrop of the white snow. Old hunters know that mushrooms in autumn cannot be eaten, and even starvation is stronger than poisoning. There are many types of mushrooms, and very few are edible. Even mountain people cannot be sure that eating them will not cause any accidents. Chang'an, why are you picking so many mushrooms? Zhao Eru looked at the game on the snow in surprise. Yi Chang'an lowered his body to pick up the fallen mushroom and said with a bitter smile, there's really nothing to eat. We can only use this to satisfy our hunger. Zhao Eru gave Yi Chang'an a thumbs up and said, brave. Seeing that the other party didn't have much to gain, Zhao Eru gradually lost interest. He immediately spoke up, Chang'an, do you have a big deal with me? I heard there are wild boars at Old Lord Ridge that night. Let's go try our luck together, brothers. Yi Chang'an evaded and said, forget it, I'm too timid. Zhao Eru's face showed displeasure, and he looked at Yi Chang'an's slightly thin physique. He thought that a few days ago, he almost fell to death when he entered the mountain alone, so he gave up. Well, when I carry the wild boar back to the village, you'll envy me. Zhao Eru walked towards the deep mountains without looking back. Seeing the other party leave, Yi Chang'an showed a cold smile. Hunting in groups. I'm afraid there was a thought behind it. Hunters who used to hunt with Zhao Eru often went missing, although it is normal for one person to disappear in the deep mountains. But more than 10 people went missing after entering the mountain with Zhao Eru, which is very unusual. Hunters in Chang'an town speculate that Zhao Eru has given them black food, or that they have been pushed out to block wild beasts. The family members of the missing person also went to the county government several times to cause trouble, but in the end, it was all resolved. In the eyes of those officials, the lives of the lowly people are as low as ants. Yi Chang'an finally returned to Chang'an town before nightfall. The divine power of beast control far exceeds his imagination. Even at such a distant distance, he can still communicate with the old wolf and even vaguely see the scene in front of him. At this moment, there were 4 or 5 thick and fierce grey wolves in front of the old wolf, who seemed to be talking about something. Yi Chang'an looked forward to the moment when the old wolf returned to the throne of the Wolf King. He pushed open the door, and the warmth inside made him moan uncontrollably. After spending a day in the snow mountain, his toes were almost frozen stiff. Chang'an brother, you have finally come back. Yi Roer stood up from the bench with a worried expression and threw herself into Yi Chang'an's arms. Yi Chang'an's eyes became gentle, and he felt a good feeling of being cared for when he returned home, as he had no affection for this sister. I took off my coat soaked in snow and changed into clean clothes, and the sticky and damp feeling was swept away. Yi Ruer looked at his victory today and her mouth widened in surprise. Brother Chang'an, is this your harvest today? She shares the same idea as others, and the mushroom is determined not to be eaten. Don't worry, I've tried it before and it's not poisonous, Yi Chang'an replied confidently under his repeated assurance. Yi Ruer then half believed that she would wash the mushrooms and put them into the stick noodles congee on the stove and cook them together. To prevent the mushrooms from being poisonous, she even cooked them for a while longer. Half an hour later, a pot of hot thick congee was brought to the table. Yi Ruer still looked worried and said, Chang'an, is this really okay? Yi Chang'an didn't say much, but he began to drink a bowl of mushroom congee. The fresh taste of mushrooms stimulates the sweetness of cornmeal. A pot of porridge is more delicious than meat, and the crispy mushrooms are even more delicious. Seeing that Yi Chang'an was fine, Yi Ruer could no longer resist the temptation of the fragrance and picked up a bowl to drink. After finishing a meal, the siblings were still unsatisfied. It had been a long time since Ye's father died that they had not eaten such delicious food. Brother, you're amazing. We will have more delicious food in the future. Yi Ruer went to the back room to tidy up the dishes, while Yi Chang'an sat alone on the bed. He looked at the panel. Host. Yi Chang'an, Realm. Nun, Sending Spirit. Mountain Spirit, Magic. Level 1 Beast Control Plus, Level 1 Perception Plus, Fit. 0 out of 100 Plus, Spirit of Thick Soil. 2.601 As expected, this meal earned an extremely considerable amount of points for the Spirit of Thick Earth. Yi Chang'an does not have the bad habit of storing points. Add some to me. He assigned these 2 points to Perception and Fit. Host. Yi Chang'an, Realm. Nun, Sending Spirit. Mountain Spirit, Magic. Level 1 Beast Control Plus, Level 2 Perception Plus, Fit. 1 out of 100 Plus, Spirit of Thick Soil. 0.601 Mysterious and mysterious aura filled his entire blood, stimulating the vitality of each cell, and gradually bulging the previously shriveled muscles beneath his skin. Chang'an was amazed to feel the changes in his body. He didn't expect that with just a slight fit, the changes would be so obvious. Although his current physical fitness is not as strong as those strong men like Zhao Eru, he is also much stronger than ordinary men. After upgrading to level 2, the viewing range has also expanded from 50 meters to 70 meters. Don't be fooled by the fact that it has only expanded by 20 meters, but it can save lives in critical moments. He gave up upgrading his beast control mainly because it is unlikely to encounter the good luck of encountering an old wolf in the short term, and even with it, there will not be much improvement in strength. The number of animal pens is limited, and it is meaningless to control the flow of ordinary wild dogs. He is currently unsure if there is a function for releasing them. I heard that a large number of refugees from the northern region have arrived at Chang'an Road. Chang'an Road is located directly north of Jiannan Road, with tens of thousands of refugees passing through like locusts. Once they reach Chang'an town, there will inevitably be unrest. Throughout history, this has always been the case, without exception. A sense of urgency is pressing on Chang'an's heart, and he needs to improve his strength as soon as possible in order to have enough means to save his life before the turbulence comes. And Corv A.E. labor. It is said that poor couples suffer from all kinds of troubles, and the lower-class people have exhausted all their efforts just to survive. 7 days have passed. A picture of an old wolf came to Chang'an's mind, and he saw 5 or 6 wolf little brothers following behind him. Although he is lame, he walks with extraordinary dominance. The old wolf is truly the former wolf king. He just howled a few times and recruited these followers, achieving the position of wolf king is just around the corner. I really found a treasure. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Incoming Products. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5 Incoming Products. The days in the farmhouse are like a day every year, and in the blink of an eye, it is January. The life of the Yi family is very nourishing, and every night in the quiet, the 2 siblings can add meals. The old wolf is also an individual-faced wolf, often arranging for his younger brother to carry the wild chickens and rabbits he has hunted to the forest outside Chang'an town. He only needs to go to a fixed tree to pick them up. Yi Ruer's once waxy yellow face has now turned pale and rosy, becoming more and more beautiful. On this day, Chang'an arrived at the southeast corner of the town as usual. I saw a wild chicken that had just died and was buried in the snow, frozen hard. In addition, there is a brownish-yellow block that seems to be the rhizome of a certain plant. What surprised Chang'an even more was that the value floating on this unknown plant was 8. He has only seen the highest value of the 5-point of old wolf since his travels. This is Polygonum multiflorum. Chang'an quickly recognized the identity of this stem. I don't know where old wolf dug up this treasure. Polygonum multiflorum is very famous in the traditional Chinese medicine industry and is a true tonic. Good thing. Chang'an ignored the soil carried by the roots of Polygonum multiflorum and stuffed it into his arms, walking happily home. Chang'an brother, what is this? Yi Ruer blinked her big eyes and looked at the strange-shaped plants in her brother's hand. Chang'an chuckled and didn't answer. He poured a basin of water and carefully washed away the soil on the surface of Polygonum multiflorum. He picked up the size of a sandbag of Polygonum multiflorum and swallowed it in one gulp. If this scene is seen by the old traditional Chinese medicine practitioners in the city, they will surely condemn him for wasting a lot of money. Everyone else eats in pieces, but he's better off swallowing the whole thing. In fact, since he became a mountain spirit, his ability to absorb these plants has been enhanced countless times, and only by swallowing them raw can he maximize the effect. Host. Chang'an, Realm. None, sending spirit. Mountain spirit, magic. Level 2 beast control plus, level 4 perception plus, fit. 5 out of 100 plus, spirit of thick soil. 8.3 The spirit of thick soil contained in Polygonum multiflorum was completely decomposed by Chang'an, and even a Polygonum multiflorum almost caught up with the points he accumulated in a month. Add some to me. Chang'an gave a crazy press on the plus sign after the fit. Host. Chang'an, realm. Grade 9, grinding skin, sending spirit. Mountain spirit, magic. Level 2 beast control plus, level 4 perception plus, level 1 rock mass, fit. 13/100 plus, spirit of thick soil. 0.3 grade 9. This bonus actually made him a beginner in martial arts. The martial arts of this world can only be considered as crossing the threshold of martial arts if one reaches the 9th level, also known as the entry level. There is not a single top-notch expert in the entire Chang'an town. Even in the city, 9th grade martial artists are often guests of prestigious families, with a high status. Chang'an felt the constantly surging power inside his body, as if he could kill a cow with just one punch. What surprised him even more was that this time he added points and gained a new divine power. Rock mass. Significantly enhances physical strength in a short period of time and can cause minor rebound damage. This supernatural ability caught Chang'an's eye. As its name suggests, the skin refining realm focuses on polishing the skin and achieving impenetrability. Now that there is a rock mass, its defense will be even more astonishing. Under Yi Roer's surprised gaze, Chang'an took a hunting steel fork and then fiercely stabbed it towards his arm. Seeing this, Yi Roer couldn't help but exclaim in surprise. Chang'an brother, her words came to a sudden halt halfway through. Because Chang'an's hand was safe and sound, not even the skin was broken, while the steel fork had already been broken. This Yi Roer was so shocked that she couldn't speak. A thought came to her mind. Has her brother made a product? Chang'an laughed proudly at his sister and said, I've told you before, your brother and I are very talented. Yi Roer was awakened by her own brother's laughter, and her eyes were filled with joy. In this chaotic era, having a martial artist in the family at least gives them the confidence to survive. Chang'an restrained his smile and said seriously to his sister, Roer, I must not tell anyone about my product introduction. Yi Roer nodded firmly with her small mouth pursed. A strong aroma of chicken wafted from the kitchen, and the siblings happily ate wild chickens. The room was filled with warmth, which was out of place with the fierce wind and snow outside. The heavy snow finally subsided, and Chang'an came to her Daegu to search for the mountain as usual. Although the old wolf can also help him search for natural resources and treasures, after all, it is only a beast and appears inefficient in front of his abnormal perception. Chang'an is no longer satisfied with the mountains and forests near the town, and his search range continues to expand towards the deep mountains. Ahem! A wolf howl sounded in the old forest, startling a flock of birds. A faint smile appeared on Chang'an's face as he saw a lame gray-haired old wolf emerge from the dark forest. Old wolf, long time no see. How have you been lately? Roar, woo, almost, I already have 18 brothers now. Amazing. Ah, that's. Chang'an looked at the proud and coquettish old wolf and found it amusing. The wolf's intelligence was even higher than he had imagined, and the two could communicate without obstacles. The old wolf disdainfully avoided the claws extended by Chang'an. Oh, Roar, I'm not a mother wolf, what's the point of touching me? Chang'an let out a dry cough and tried to shift the topic. Let's go, accompany me to the depths and take a look. One person and one wolf walked on the vast snowfield. Now he has a 4th level perception, and his observation range has expanded to 130 meters. Apart from the birds in the sky, there are no creatures that can detect him first. Perhaps due to the fact that Ji Ling is a mountain spirit, entering the mountain is like returning home, and even his strength has been improved by 20%. The old wolf's strength also improved quickly, with light footsteps and sharp eyes, unlike an old wolf who had lived for 20 years. Chang'an walked a long way, but unfortunately did not find much valuable things. It's normal to think about it, after all, this place is still within human reach, and precious medicinal herbs have long been dug up by those gatherers. Just as he was about to descend the mountain, a familiar figure appeared from God's perspective. Zhao Eru and two young hunters were crouching on the snow, chopping open the belly of a wild roe deer. A young hunter lifted the back of his hand and wiped away the animal blood from his face, smiling and saying, "Hu Gu, is that kid really in the mountains?" Zhao Eru chuckled and said, "Of course, I saw him enter the mountain with my own eyes. Let's take a shortcut and block him later." Another young hunter continued, "I saw Yi Roa yesterday, it's really more and more lively. To kill that little hunter, we must obediently follow our second tiger brother." Upon hearing their praise, Zhao Eru laughed even more recklessly. The chill in Chang'an's eyes, standing behind a big tree 100 meters away, was even colder than the snow covering the mountains. There are always people who like to rush to seek death. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Wolf Extermination. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6 Wolf Extermination. If you read the almanac, you will know that it is not suitable to travel today. The three of them divided the roe deer into 3 parts, and Zhao Eru naturally took over half of the meat. The two young hunters dared not say much. "Let's take a shortcut." Zhao Eru shouted and the two of them followed. The three of them walked through the snow field, one in front and one behind, and at first glance, they were experienced hunters. At this moment, ow! A loud wolf howl rang out in the mountains and forests. Zhao Eru stopped and frowned. Although he was arrogant, he was not stupid, and his hunting skills were not bad. He quickly distinguished that the wolf was not far from them. The wolf is the true owner of Erdaegu. Even a blind bear cannot withstand the attack of the wolf pack, and a hunter who encounters it is a close call to death. It is rumored that a new wolf king has just been replaced in this mountain forest, and his methods are very brutal. Zhao Eru hesitated repeatedly and said, "Let's go back to town first. I always feel unsafe." But as they were about to take a step, green eyes appeared in the bushes like ghostly flames. A young hunter was suddenly scared out of his wits and said in terror, "Wolf." The leading old wolf is more than twice the size of the wolf cubs behind him, constantly spitting hot air and emitting light smoke. Another young hunter pulled out his short knife and watched the wolf pack cautiously as he said to Zhao Eru, "Brother Eru, what should we do?" Zhao Eru also clenched his short sword, his veins bulging, and he said, "We can only do our best." Just as two young hunters were preparing to wield their knives and break into the wolf pack, they felt a tremendous force coming from behind. "Shit, surnamed Zhao. I won't let you go even if I'm a ghost." Zhao Eru launched 2 ghouls to replace the dead, but without looking back, they burrowed into the bushes. Strangely, the sturdy old wolf in charge had no intention of catching up. Just as they heard screams coming from the forest, the 2 hunters quickly lost their breath. Zhao Eru was panting like a cow, rushing through the mountains and forests, hoping to shake off those wolf packs. Suddenly, a ghostly figure blocked his way. Zhao Eru looked up and said, "It's you, Chang'an." He never expected that the person blocking his way would be Chang'an, who usually looked weak and unstoppable. I saw Chang'an's gaze calm, standing straight on the snow. Zhao Eru viciously licked his lips, clenched his short knife in both hands, and swung it before chopping. With a crisp sound, Chang'an tightly grasped Zhao Eru's blade with one hand. No matter how Zhao Eru drew the knife, he remained motionless. Zhao Eru's pupils contracted sharply, and an absurd idea appeared in his mind. Perhaps those wolves were also attracted by him. As if to confirm his conjecture, a familiar old wolf slowly appeared on the snowfield, his eyes full of ridicule. "It's time to hit the road." Chang'an spoke coldly. "The palm is like a knife, and the head falls to the ground." Zhao Eru felt a sea of blood enveloping his eyes, followed by the cold snow. "It's so cold." He never understood what had happened until he died. "I knew I would have used a knife." Chang'an felt the sticky sensation emanating from his palm and felt nauseous. "In my past life and present life, I am in my 40s. It is my first time killing someone, and seeing such a bloody scene makes me feel nauseous." Old wolf. "Awu, weak chicken, what's so scary about blood?" Chang'an smiled calmly and said, "This is the first time, I can understand." He quickly adapted to this crimson scene, and in this chaotic world, he will inevitably have the same experience as today. The tree wants to be quiet, but the wind in its ears never stops. He doesn't want to kill, but that doesn't mean others won't have malicious intentions. Chang'an crouched down and began to enjoy the process of touching the body. Quickly, he fumbled out 10 taels of silver from Zhao Eru's arms. "I didn't expect this guy to be so wealthy. An ordinary farmer's annual income is only 10 taels of silver, which is a windfall." Chang'an felt at ease as he put the silver into his arms, then carefully checked it and confirmed that there was nothing else of value before giving the old wolf a wink. After all, he is a wolf who has been the king of wolves before, and doing such things is a familiar skill. The old wolf howled and called for 3 or 2 little brothers, dragging Zhao Eru's body away. It is estimated that by the time someone discovers these corpses, they will have been gnawed by wild wolves to the point where there are no bones left. Oh, Chang'an is back, with a daifengshu, salad of assorted fresh vegetables. "This is Chang'an from the old Yi family, it's a promising place. If that little brat at home had such skills, I would be at ease." Chang'an tied 4 or 5 wild chickens and rabbits around his waist, which made passers-by envious. "Chang'an, have you found your nest?" "Let me reveal something," a hunter familiar with Chang'an asked. "I was lucky enough to catch a few in the Gotzi cave." "Uncle, you can go and take a look tomorrow." Upon hearing these words, more and more people approached to talk. As the saying goes, relying on mountains to eat mountains, relying on water to eat water, Chang'an village is mostly inhabited by hunters and fishermen. If we can find a nest, a day's harvest can be worth 2 months of hard work. The hunters in the small town were all excited to hear this, and many people were eager to try, praising Chang'an for his ability to handle things. However, some people also think that Chang'an is just fabricating a position, who would be foolish enough to share the dens with others. Go ahead, the more people, the better. Chang'an doesn't care whether these hunters believe it or not, as long as the news of him going to Gazidong spreads today. He politely walked through the crowd and back home. When Ru'er saw her brother return, a joyful expression appeared on her small face and she said, "Brother Chang'an, you're back." Chang'an took off his coat and shook the snowflakes. "Brother, why do they all say you went to Gazidong?" The onlookers followed all the way to the entrance of Ye's house, and Ru'er sitting inside could hear clearly. Others don't know, but Ru'er knows that her brother always only goes to her Daegu. "You lied to them, but don't tell them." "Oh." Ru'er nodded obediently. Chang'an touched Ru'er's little head and said, "Ru'er, don't go out for a while. I'll take you to the city to live in the future." "City, Nanchuan City." "Yes." "Brother, don't lie to me. Where did a brother deceive his own sister?" As he spoke, Chang'an picked up the stick noodles Kanji Ru'er had left and drank it. Today, Zhao Eru's incident reminded him that Chang'an town is too small to hide anything, and Ru'er is easily remembered. He has already entered the market, and once his strength further improves, he plans to go to the city to seek a serious identity. In this way, Ru'er can also be safer. Apart from being expensive, there is nothing else wrong in the city. At least there won't be anyone forcibly breaking through the door. It seems we still need to save money. Yi Chang'an made up his mind to go to the black market in the city another day and do some business selling wild animals. Moreover, in the future, whether it is purchasing real estate or managing relationships, all big and small things cannot be separated from the money spent for free. It's really hard to defeat a hero with just 1 penny. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Black Market. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7 Black Market in the early morning. Mr. Zhao, come out and give us an explanation today. A middle-aged man holding a machete shouted angrily in front of the Zhao family. He was accompanied by 5 or 6 men, all of whom were the families of the 2 young hunters who followed Zhao Eru to the mountains that day. It has been 3 days since the 2 of them followed Zhao Eru up the mountain, and there is no news at all. Usually, such incidents occur only in the following spring when the body can be found. Zhao Eru's wrongdoing was at the forefront, and this middle-aged man was also very hot-tempered. As soon as the 2 families combined, they came knocking on him. Mr. Zhao pressed his table against the door and complained incessantly. In the past, when such things happened, Zhao Eru could always come back the next day, but this time he was not seen. Mr. Zhao estimated that Zhao Eru had probably fallen into the deep mountains of Erdaegu. "Dad, what should we do?" A sturdy young woman looked at the crumbling door with a worried expression on her face. "What else can we do?" "Let's count how long we can hold on," said Zhao, the old man at a loss. Boom! With a muffled sound, the Zhao family gate was pushed down by several men. Old Zhao was suddenly pressed under the wooden door and couldn't help but howl. The middle-aged man was furious as he grabbed Zhao's neck and asked, "Where are you hiding, Zhao Eru?" Mr. Zhao shook his head and said, "I don't know." "I think you know, but don't you tell me." Old Zhao almost didn't cry when he heard these words. With a lesson from his past, no one would believe even if Zhao Eru really went missing now. Just as he was about to continue explaining, he felt a numbness in his waist, and then his eyes turned black and he lost consciousness. "Old man Zhao, don't pretend to be dead." The middle-aged man was about to continue questioning when a man next to him noticed something was wrong and sniffed with his fingers. Surprisingly, old Zhao had already lost his breath. Seeing human life, the onlookers were afraid to avoid it. A few men no longer had the idea of continuing to cause trouble and fled as if. Zhao Eru's mother-in-law screamed in surprise, grabbed her bundle, and ran towards the small path outside the town. "Old wolf, it's up to you next." Yi Chang'an brushed off his clothes and left behind no achievements or fame. The sudden death of Mr. Zhao was naturally due to the stone in his hand. At that time, the scene was chaotic, and no one would notice the stone he ejected. Now the Zhao family is even more empty, with no one to report to the government, let alone anyone to come for an autopsy. As for Zhao Eru, who escaped, it should be reasonable for her to die from a pack of wolves on her way back to her mother's house, right? Yi Chang'an doesn't have the idea that his family won't be in trouble here. If Zhao Eru leaks some information to Mr. Zhao and his aunt, making others realize that the disappearance of those 3 people may be related to the Yi family, it will bring endless troubles. Moreover, these 2 people relied on Zhao Eru's ferocity to bully their neighbors. Killing them, Yi Chang'an, had no psychological burden at all, and now he has completely neglected himself in the whole matter. Who could have thought that such meticulous methods were done by a 16-year-old boy? "Chang'an, you really need to go to the black market. I heard it's very dangerous there." Yi Ruer frowned beautifully and grabbed Yi Chang'an's sleeve with both hands, refusing to let go. Pinching Yi Ruer's small face, Yi Chang'an smiled and said, "Your brother, I am already a 9th-grade martial artist. What's so scary about me?" Yi Ruer wrinkled her nose, snorted lightly, and then ran to the back room. Yi Chang'an chuckled as he pushed open the door and braved the wind and snow as he left the town. The black market is located in the suburbs south of Nanchuan City. Although it is called a black market, there is actually nothing special about it, and it is even safer than some ordinary markets in the city. It's not like what's written in the storybook. Most of them are ordinary people selling food, game and other ordinary things. These people choose to sell on the black market mainly because the government also charges a transaction tax. These small transactions already have meager profits, and with taxes added, they are almost equivalent to losses. Therefore, even if most farmers pay entry fees, they are more willing to come to the black market for trading. The admission fee is 10 won. A shirtless man with a blue dragon pattern on his arm stopped Yi Chang'an as he was about to enter the black market. Yi Chang'an took out 10 copper coins from his arms and handed them to De Han before being released. At first glance, the small black market was bustling with passers-by, and its popularity was no less than that of the city's market. Although the probability of encountering acquaintances in the black market is not high, Yi Chang'an still covered himself with a black veil, and there are also many people in the black market who behave like him. Sorghum noodles, 1 kilogram and 8 won, sold at a low price. Fresh crucian carp, come and see, come and see. A freshly beaten wild chicken costs 50 won. When Yi Chang'an first came to the black market, he felt like he had entered a vegetable market, and all he heard in his ears was the sound of selling. But the black-clad manager who constantly patrols the crowd also indicates that this market is extraordinary. There must be some shady transactions in the black market, but ordinary people can't even enter that circle. Yi Chang'an found a more spacious place and spread a piece of 1 meter long and wide linen cloth on the ground. Then placed the wild game sent by the old wolf last night on the cloth in the package. Fresh game, come and see, come and see. Yi Chang'an imitated the appearance of those vendors and started selling. He originally wanted to buy some mountain delicacies, but found them too eye-catching, so he ultimately chose to sell some wild game as a second choice. The wild animals he sells are different from ordinary pheasants and rabbits, but rather rare things like roe deer and deer. He worked as a salesperson for a period of time in his previous life and was well aware of the importance of differentiation. However, after being frozen all morning, I didn't sell a single one. As expected by Yi Chang'an, most of the buyers who were willing to accept these items were from restaurants. They don't come to the black market so frequently. Just past the hour, the sun appeared half hidden from the clouds like a pipa. Yi Chang'an was comfortably bathed in the sunshine. Just as he stretched lazily, a woman with a veil appeared in front of his booth. The business has come to your doorstep. He perked up and politely said to the woman, "Is this lady buying wild game?" The woman before the meeting had a beautiful figure, terrifying in size, and a perfectly proportioned pair of long legs. Even though she was covering her face, she could guess that her beauty was definitely not bad. The masked woman said, "How do you sell this deer meat?" Yi Chang'an. "How about counting you a big sum of money on one end? This deer is already young and doesn't have much meat, so the price quoted by Yi Chang'an is quite reasonable." The masked woman felt relieved and threw a heavy pile of silver onto the linen cloth, saying, "Little boss, could you please help me wrap it up? I want everything." "Okay." Yi Chang'an skillfully wrapped the wild animals in linen. As he was about to hand it to the masked woman, she spoke up, "Little boss, could you please take these to the spring pavilion? Someone will pay you for running away when the time comes." Spring-colored building. Upon hearing this name, Yi Chang'an's face gradually became strange. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Sister Lu. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8 Sister Lu Nanchuan City, by the banks of Yulong Lake. The 6-story wooden building is fresh and elegant, with occasional sound of silk and bamboo strings, all of which are elegant tunes. Although it is a brothel, it is not like an ordinary fence. Most of the women inside are performing arts and not selling themselves. Of course, if the money is in place, the spring pavilion will also pay attention to personal preferences. Yi Chang'an, dressed in a tattered cotton jacket, stood downstairs and saw dragons and phoenixes dancing and writing on the door. The spring scenery in the garden is intoxicating, and the peach blossoms still smile in the spring breeze. It is said that it was written by a great scholar from Kyoto, and the spring pavilion took a section that was elegant and elegant. "Kid, what are you looking at?" A brothel servant scolded Yi Chang'an. Yi Chang'an was not angry either. He clasped his fists to explain his intention, and with his heart, there was no need to be angry with a servant. Upon hearing that the delivery was coming, the servant pointed to a small door on the right that was one person high and said, "Do you understand the rules? Please enter through the back door for delivery." Yi Chang'an. "Thank you very much." After speaking, he crossed the small door along the direction pointed by the servant, and then came a narrow alley. After walking forward for about 110 meters, we arrived at the backyard of Chang'an's tower. More than 10 miscellaneous workers were busy and the scene was bustling. Even if Yi Chang'an wanted to find someone to inquire, no one was willing to pay attention. Just then, a cold female voice rang out. "What are you doing here for?" Yi Chang'an turned his head and saw a tall and slender woman wearing a black tight-necked short shirt with a neat high ponytail, dressed in a wandering attire. This woman actually knows martial arts. A tall woman with obvious calluses in her palms is unlikely to do farm work, so there is only one possibility, which is to practice weapons. Judging from the degree of wear and tear, it is obvious that she is a skilled hand. Yi Chang'an. "Who is this girl?" "I am the logistics butler in this building." Upon hearing these words, Yi Chang'an recounted his encounter with a masked woman today. "Since it was Sister Lu who called you here, then come with me." "Sister Lu." Seeing Yi Chang'an's puzzled expression, the tall woman explained, "Sister Lu is the shopkeeper of this building." Yi Chang'an didn't expect the woman he met today to be the shopkeeper of Chang'an's building. A woman's ability to manage such a large-scale business is evident. With a tall woman leading the way and half a cup of tea, the two of them arrived at the accounting room. The accountant moved the abacus in his hand, and the tall woman took 51 and handed it to Yi Chang'an. "It's really atmospheric. 51 is not a small amount. I didn't expect to give so much after just one leg run." Yi Chang'an was satisfied and put the copper coin into his pocket. "Little brother, if you still have these rare prey in the future, you can come directly to the backyard to find me. We'll take as much as you have," the tall woman said to Yi Chang'an. "Since the girl is willing to accept it, that would be great," Yi Chang'an said calmly. The tall woman couldn't help but glance up at the farmer boy in front of her without any timidity and natural speech. Yi Chang'an walked out of the spring pavilion. Today can be said to be a fruitful harvest, not only earning a full 3 taels of silver, but also not worrying about the future sales of wild animals. He didn't have the idea of going upstairs to explore the spring scenery. Although he was willing to test the feudal dregs with his own body, Chang'an's tower would cost 10 taels of silver to listen to a song, and he would scatter a lot of silver tickets without even touching the girl's thigh. Having this silver to go to the Gulen in the east of the city is enough to play more than 10 times, it's not cost-effective. Moreover, not everyone can enter this spring pavilion, only those descendants of aristocratic families or officials can enter. Hunters like Yi Chang'an will be beaten out by servants before they even cross the threshold. With 10 taels of silver obtained from Zhao Eru, he now holds a whopping 13 taels of silver in his arms, which can be considered a huge sum of money. He proudly bought 10 jin of bangzi noodles and went to the rice flour shop to buy Yi Ruer 2 pieces of dim sum. By the time Yi Chang'an returned home, it was almost dusk. Just as he was about to see his own door as he passed through the alley with a joyful mood, he saw 3 strong men standing in front of his own door. The leader is the bully Zhang Long. "My surname is Yi, I know you're at home. If you don't open the door again, I'll kick the door." Zhang Long slammed the wooden door with a loud and rough voice. The 2 little brothers behind him were already impatient and about to burst open the door. Yi Chang'an walked quickly behind them and said, "So it's Brother Long. What are you doing here so late?" Zhang Long turned his head and saw that it was Yi Chang'an. He grinned wide and said, "Oh, it turned out that my brother was wrong about you. I really went out. Your sister is not at home." Yi Chang'an chuckled and said, "Maybe I went out to play. Chang'an, you know, they are all working people. Should we pay the rent now?" Yi Chang'an took out 2 taels of silver given by the masked woman Lu Jie today and handed them to Zhang Long. "Brother Long, it's already prepared. Can you check the numbers?" Zhang Long frowned and said, "Chang'an, it seems like you've been lucky lately. Keep it up." Upon receiving the rent, Zhang Long did not dwell too much on it. After all, collecting rent is a tedious task. If we force the residents of Chang'an town to move and flee, they will all be forced to do so. When it was discovered by the Su family, Zhang Long would also have to struggle with it. After Zhang Long and the others left, Yi Chang'an opened the door with the key. As soon as I pushed open the door, I saw my sister Yi Ruer, whose tears were already swirling in her eyes. Zhang Long suddenly came to her door and startled her too much. She hugged Yi Chang'an tightly, tears streaming down his shoulders. "Brother, you finally came back. I'm so scared." "All right, Roer, don't cry." It took Yi Chang'an a long time to soothe Yi Roer. In order to prevent things like Zhao Eru from happening again, he dug a cellar in the backyard and asked Yi Ruer to hide whenever she was in danger. He also tried not to go out on weekdays. If it weren't for Yi Ruer following his instructions today, the consequences would be unimaginable. "I'm hungry. Cook me a bowl of congee." Yi Chang'an falsely claimed to be hungry in order to divert Yi Ruer's attention. This move was indeed effective, and Yi Ruer was busy in the kitchen, forgetting almost all her previous fears. The progress of moving to the city needs to be faster. Yi Chang'an pondered in his heart that Zhang Long was not like Zhao Eru, who had no background. If he were killed rashly, it might attract the attention of the Su family. But to move into the city, one must have a house, and the cheapest small house costs 50 taels. In addition, it is necessary to apply for a residence permit in the government office, as ordinary people will inevitably face various difficulties when they go there. He couldn't help but think of Sister Lu. This woman has been in business in Nanchuan City for many years, and he would never believe it if she didn't have a background in the government. If you can get on her line, maybe you can handle the issue of your residence permit. However, this is all for later discussion. The only thing Yi Chang'an can do now is to first improve his strength. Although one can enter the city as long as the identity of a martial artist is exposed, the sudden emergence of a 9th-grade strong person in a small town is too shocking and will bring endless troubles. We still need to plan slowly. Stability is very important. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Mountain Boy. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9 Mountain Boy 50 miles north of Chang'an town, at Huta Ridge. This place is untouched all year round, and even hunters and gatherers do not want to come here to take risks. The snow in the mountains and forests is as high as a person, and there is no longer the concept of a road here. Yi Chang'an relied on his divine ability to perceive and barely find the way forward. The old wolf following behind complained discontentedly, "Ahem, what are you doing here when you're free?" Yi Chang'an said, "All the treasures from Erdaegu have been collected, so we can only come to Huta Ridge to try our luck. It is said that 10 years ago someone dug ginseng for 300 years in this forest and became wealthy overnight. Unfortunately, no other mountain people dug up treasures afterwards, and gradually the people of Chang'an town did not want to come here again. Along the way, although I didn't find anything too precious, the harvest was also considerable. The medicinal herbs and mushrooms in Yi Chang'an's backpack add up to a total of 4 points, which is much more than walking in Erdaegu for a day." The old wolf was forcibly dragged by him, so he naturally felt unhappy and complained all the way. It is the most majestic elder brother in the wolf pack, and only becomes a chatterbox in front of Yi Chang'an. Roar, roar, yesterday's little mother wolf was so energetic. Awu, even the little white wolf is worthy of fighting with me. Hum, now I have 30 wolf cubs under my command, and this forest is the final say. The old wolf was speaking happily when suddenly Yi Chang'an stopped abruptly. It was unresponsive for a moment, and its nose collided with Yi Chang'an's calf. What are you doing? There's something. I saw Yi Chang'an's expression unprecedentedly solemn. The old wolf followed his gaze and saw a child-shaped object with a clump of grass on its head bouncing around not far away. It lowered its voice and said, "Roar, how could there be human children here? This thing is not human." Yi Chang'an used his divine power of perception to see much clearer than the old wolf. The monster, which looked like a child, was covered in hair and only had one eye. What is this thing? His thoughts flew in his heart, and he encountered such a strange existence for the first time in this world. The old wolf couldn't help but think of the story he had heard from the previous generation of Wolf King, and the monster in the story seemed to be the one in front of him. 2 words, mountain boy, popped up in its mind. Yi Chang'an had a spiritual connection with the old wolf and instantly understood the identity of this monster. There are also legends about mountain children in their past lives. This monster, also known as the mandrill, grew in the deep mountains and forests. It has a lively personality, likes to play tricks on mountain people, and is good at spreading epidemics. He had long known that there were demons in this world, but his heart still pounded wildly when he first encountered them. However, the mountain boy seemed to have missed Yi Chang'an and the old wolf, still jumping towards the depths of the forest. It's better not to provoke. Yi Chang'an muttered to himself, intending to turn around and leave with the old wolf. Just as he turned around, he suddenly saw a string of numerical values, 10, rising from the top of the mountain boy's head. He looked at his thick earth spirit point number, 13, again. A bold idea emerged in his mind. Shantong is inherently childlike, rolling relentlessly in the snow. Just as he was having fun, he saw a lame wolf not far away. The mountain boy let out terrifying laughter, and if the child hears it, they probably won't be able to sleep for at least 3 days. Gua, take it as a mount. Seemingly thinking of something fun, the mountain boy danced with joy. It pounced forward fiercely, with an astonishing speed. Fortunately, the body of the old wolf was also strengthened by the spirit of the mountain spirit, and it reacted quickly, jumping backwards to avoid the blow of the mountain boy. The mountain boy became even more excited when he saw that the blow failed, and his fist, the size of a sandbag, aimed at the old wolf. The fist wind howls, with boundless strength. Just as one demon and one wolf were entangled, Yi Chang'an suddenly shot out from under the snow, catching the mountain boy off guard. The mountain boy was timid and originally wanted to escape, but when he saw it was a human, he stopped in his tracks. Gua, I'm angry. Yi Chang'an's fist accurately hit the middle gate of the mountain boy. I only heard a piercing sound like melting ice in a fire. The mountain boy was punched and flew away, constantly emitting cries of sorrow. Gua, this human is not right. It got up and wanted to run, but Yi Chang'an couldn't just bypass it like this. He flew and pounced on the mountain boy with an old fist. The mountain boy who fought in the end suffered nosebleeds and passed out before giving up. A green light flashed in Yi Chang'an's eyes and he let out a low cry. Control the beast. The palm covered in light green light touched the forehead of the mountain boy. The spirit of the mountain spirit was quickly injected into the body of the mountain boy, who gradually showed a painful expression. After about a quarter of an hour, the only big eyes of the mountain boy opened with a growl. Then the memories that belonged to it appeared in Yi Chang'an's mind. Originally, mountain children were all naturally raised, but this one is only 300 years old. In the world of mountain children, this age can only be considered as a baby. No wonder it's so weak. The fact is that the strength of an adult mountain boy can reach up to 100 points of the earth spirit, which is far beyond what Yi Chang'an can deal with. The key reason why Yi Chang'an was able to easily defeat this mountain boy is still due to the suppression of the mountain spirit's bloodline. The level of the mountain spirit is much higher than that of the mountain boy, so his attack is equivalent to a punch. If an ordinary 9th grade warrior takes action, it is estimated that in less than 10 rounds, they will be knocked down by the mountain boy in front of them. In fact, human warriors will be at a disadvantage against monsters of the same level, and can only be barely suppressed through stronger martial arts. So the great Xiangua can only evacuate the residents of the great demon drought Ba that appears in the northern region, because it is really unbeatable. The mountain boy's eyes were wide open as he felt the mountain spirit bloodline emanating from the human body in front of him. It suddenly dawned on me that wherever I was in front of me was a human, it was clearly a mountain spirit demon wearing a human skin. Gua, Gua, big brother, I'll be worshipped by my younger brother. This mountain boy often hides near the village to eavesdrop on storytellers and is familiar with these etiquette. Yi Chang'an's forehead was lined with black lines. Why does it sound more and more like a triad? He waved his hand at the mischievous mountain boy and said, "Big brother, please let me know if you find any treasures in the mountains in the future." As it was getting late, Yi Chang'an left the mountain boy at Huta Ridge and left with the old wolf down the mountain. After returning home, Yi Chang'an and Yi Roer drank stick noodles and added a lot of rabbit jerky. After finishing his meal, he decided to sleep as usual when he suddenly received a message from the mountain boy in his mind. "Boss, there's something good that I left in the old place." So quickly. Yi Chang'an was shocked, and he put on his coat and walked out of the small town. The so-called old place is actually the tree where the old wolf released the wild chicken. When he came to the bottom of the tree, he saw a long, rooted thing. I'll just casually say, this work efficiency is also too high. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Treasure Medicine. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10 Treasure Medicine, Ginseng. Yi Chang'an recognized what it was at a glance. He didn't expect the mountain boy to catch the good things so quickly. I saw a string of numerical values, 8, appearing at the top of the ginseng. The spirit of thick soil contained in the Polygonum multiflorum sent by the old wolf is equivalent, but this ginseng is only half the size of Polygonum multiflorum, indicating that it is a great tonic. He is becoming increasingly satisfied with his younger brother. As the saying goes, the younger brother stays up for 3 nights and the older brother goes up to the 3rd floor. As soon as he returned home, Yi Chang'an couldn't wait to wash the ginseng clean, and then swallowed it in one gulp. After chewing, it still tasted slightly sweet. Host. Yi Chang'an, Realm. Grade 9, Grinding Skin, Sending Spirit. Mountain Spirit, Divine Powers. Level 2 Beast Control Plus, Level 4 Perception Plus, Level 1 Rock Mass Plus, Fit. 14 out of 100 Plus, Spirit of Thick Soil. 8.1 Yi Chang'an chuckled and easily reached the 8 Thick Soil Spirit. Add more points. Host. Yi Chang'an, Realm. Grade 9, Grinding Skin, Sending Spirit. Mountain Spirit, Magic. Level 2 Beast Control Plus, Level 4 Perception Plus, Level 2 Rock Plus, Fit. 21 out of 100 Plus, Spirit of Thick Soil. 0.1 The majestic spirit of the mountain spirit continued to infuse into his body, and he felt 1,000 pounds of immense power in his fingertips. With his current strength, he can easily hang the mountain boy. In addition, he also upgraded his divine power, Rock Mass, once. After unleashing the rock, his defense has reached a terrifying level, making it extremely difficult for ordinary 9th grade warriors to break through. The days are really getting brighter and brighter. In the following days, Yi Chang'an brought rare prey sent by the old wolf and the mountain boy into the city. These 2 little brothers gave so much that he didn't dare to take them all to sell at the spring pavilion. Otherwise, that tall woman might think he's running a farm. After a period of contact, he also learned the name of the tall woman. Yun Qing, who seemed to be a descendant of a down-to-earth family. Sister Lu valued her martial arts skills and her feminine demeanor, so she became the logistics supervisor of the Spring Pavilion. In fact, she is also responsible for the protection of the entire Chang'an building, which can be said to be Lu Jie's absolute confidant. The progress of Yi Chang'an's savings plan is getting faster and faster. 31 Wow, Chang'an brother, we have 40.2 taels now. Yi Ruer's 2 eyes shone like a little financial maniac. Even when Ye's father was still alive, the family had never had so much money. As the saying goes, having food at home and not feeling anxious, Yi Ruer was very satisfied holding the heavy silver. Yi Chang'an chuckled as he looked at Yi Ruer, who looked like a miser. If it weren't for his fear of being targeted, his speed of saving money would only be faster. Erdayagu and Huta Ridge are inhabited by old wolves and mountain children, but they have almost become his private territory. Sometimes even rare things like bear paws and leopard tails are delivered to his door. His mountain god panel has gradually become luxurious. Host. Yi Chang'an, Realm. Grade 9, Grinding Skin, Sending Spirit. Mountain Spirit, Divine Powers. Level 3 Beast Control Plus, Level 7 Perception Plus, Level 4 Rock Mass Plus, Fit. 25/100 Plus, Spirit of Thick Soil. 0.5 Although he is still in the 9th grade, Yi Chang'an always feels that even if he encounters an 8th grade expert, he still has the power to fight. It's just that 8th grade experts are not the kind of people on the streets, and there are only a dozen or so people in Nanchuan City. Who is not a well-known expert in the martial arts world. It's not easy to find an 8th level expert to compete with. Level 7 perception is incredibly useful, and now his perception ability has reached a terrifying 400 meters. The area on the ground alone is not worth spending so many points of the earth spirit, the key is underground. 400 meters underground is a place that no one has ever explored, and it contains endless treasures. For example, the oil underground in his house. This skill should be placed in a previous life, let the oil prince understand it. Digging hundreds of meters of holes is not easy. Yi Chang'an marks the treasures underground and excavates them when the time is right. Nanchuan City, backyard of Chang'an's tower. Yi Chang'an walked into the small door, carrying a bag of freshly picked game as usual. He arrived at Yun Qing's usual office room with ease and familiarity. Yi Chang'an, why did you come so early today? Come to the city to do something, and bring it over by the way. A little sweat oozed from Yun Qing's forehead, clearly not long after practicing martial arts. Despite having had so many encounters, Yi Chang'an still couldn't determine whether Yun Qing was truly an expert in the product. After all, humans cannot display numerical values on their heads like animals. Yi Chang'an opened his bundle and a bag full of various wild animals appeared in front of Yun Qing. In the entire city of Nanchuan, apart from 3 or 5 high-end restaurants willing to purchase these mountain treasures, the one with the highest demand is undoubtedly Chang'an's restaurant. Those who come here are not those who lack money, especially the aristocratic young masters who invite 3 or 5 friends. Naturally, they like to see some rare dishes on the table, which is also good for showing off. Don't be fooled by Yun Qing's kindness when collecting things. Once these ingredients are made into dishes and served on the tables of those young masters, it's hard to know how many times they will be doubled. Yi Chang'an, you're amazing. You even have deer antler. This is a good thing. Miss Yun praised me, I'm lucky. Yun Qing quickly calculated the price, totaling 9 taels. Yi Chang'an was delighted in his heart, and with the original 40.2 taels, he had saved enough money for the house in Nanchuan City. Although Yun Qing is a woman, she exudes a martial arts aura, acting with a carefree and unrestrained demeanor, unlike ordinary women. She took Yi Chang'an to the accounting room to collect the silver money, and the two chatted a few more times. If it were someone else, they would have rushed him away long ago, and only a person like Yun Qing would have such a temperament. As soon as Yi Chang'an arrived at the entrance of the alley, he heard someone behind him exclaiming. There's a thief, catch him. Turning his head, he saw a man with sharp lips and monkey cheeks rushing towards him. Yi Chang'an intentionally or unintentionally moved his body and happened to block the man's path. Get lost and seek death. The man, seeing that the person ahead was unmoved, pulled out a dagger from his arms and fiercely stabbed Yi Chang'an's lower abdomen. Yi Chang'an twisted his waist and dodged the stabbing dagger with precision, then extended his right foot. Wow! The man let out a scream and stumbled to the ground. At this moment, Yunqing also arrived with a group of guards, and a few of them all took action to subdue the thief. The guard escorted the thief to the government, but Yunqing did not follow. Instead, he looked at Yi Chang'an with a playful expression on his face. Yi Chang'an felt uncomfortable all over from her sight. You're not really interested in me, are you? Yunqing raised her lips slightly and said, Yi Chang'an, you're hiding deep enough to know martial arts. I'm just a hunter, all of my hunting skills. Yunqing certainly didn't believe Yi Chang'an's lies. Just now, the dagger was only about to cut open Yi Chang'an's lower abdomen, but it was intentional. Who could an ordinary hunter have such skills? She was already a belligerent person, and for a moment, she became even more curious about Yi Chang'an's strength. Of course, all of this was deliberately done by Yi Chang'an, who had intended to use Yunqing to connect with Sister Lu. Coincidentally, this foolish thief came knocking on the door, and of course he wouldn't let it go. Yi Chang'an, come and give me a hand. Miss Yun, isn't this good? Stop talking nonsense, look at the moves. End of this chapter.